Hello, hello. Hi, guys. It's been a minute. It's me. I'm popping back on live because I had this crazy realization. I know I kind of promoted it on the email that we sent out. And the other email we sent out two reminders. But it just kind of hit me the other day that we are now, usually kind of October rolls around. We're like, oh, it's the last quarter of the year. But it hit me that we're in the last quarter of the decade. Does that kind of freak anyone else out? Let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, let me know because I kind of monitor this. I just want to make sure that we can connect. If you don't know who I am, you stumbled on this page, I would love to introduce myself to you. I'm Jen Burson. I'm the founder of Generation PR. We are a full service social media marketing agency, public relations agency, and we promote beauty. So beauty and cosmetics, baby and kids brands, and health and wellness brands. And I'm a former attorney. And about 14 years ago, next year will be 15 years ago, I looked around and saw in my law firm that there were no women that had any kind of semblance of a life that I was looking for, meaning they had it all, or my definition of having it all, which meant a successful career, time with their families, balance in their lives. I know balance is like a very loaded topic, but as close to balance as possible, meaning a family life that they loved, that lit them up, and a career that lit them up. No one had that. So I realized I was in the wrong career, not on the right path, and I made a big change. I just left my job in law and I started my own PR agency. And it's been almost 15 years, like I said, and just an absolute incredible experience to the point now where all this time later, I still love my business. I love my clients. We support billion-dollar brands. I have several clients that are valued at more than $1 billion, make a great income where I'm able to support my family. I got my husband out of his corporate job. He's now running his own business. He's lit up every day. This agency model has been incredible for me, and I now teach it. And I have a program, the Agency Accelerator, which we just wrapped the launch about 2 weeks ago. So when you saw me live, all kind of leading up to it and through the launch, that is me serving you as best as I possibly can, trying to support you as you grow your businesses, get to know you so that I can tailor my content to best serve you. And then we welcomed an amazing class of new members, and I loved serving the community for the launch. But when we wrap, we completely shift our focus to supporting our new members. So welcoming them into the group, serving them, coaching, support. So I shifted to kind of regroup and self-care because I need like a minute. Launching is very exhausting. And now going and serving this audience. And now I'm here for you again because I have the energy and the bandwidth, and I'm excited to come back and kind of show up every week. My team has mapped out content for the rest of the year. And it kind of hit me as we were planning all of this that we've got this like end of year wrap up, which I always love. Sorry, I need like a sip of water. I always love it because it's such a great time for reflection, and it's a very motivating planning period to kind of look forward, like end on a high note. But then it's like, oh my gosh, we're looking at 2020 and the next decade. And for me, that realization hit extremely hard because my youngest son is 7, almost 8. And that means that in the next decade, by the time that's over, he's out of the house and in college. So we're going to be empty nesters, right? So both of my sons will be, hopefully no longer living here. They're always welcome to come back, but I think that the best kids thrive when they go off into the world, experience college or whatever, path they want to go on. So my husband and I will be empty nesters, and I want to be intentional about what I'm creating in the next decade so that I can end up where I ultimately want to go. And my husband and I have talked about our vision for retirement and what that looks like together. We want to retire in Santa Barbara. I went to college up there. I absolutely love Santa Barbara. It is like my happy place. When I'm there, I just feel so relaxed. I love everything about it. I love being close to the ocean. I think it just fuels me and makes me feel healthy and alive. And I love the Spanish architecture. It's close to Los Angeles, where I live now. And I happen to not be alone. Everybody loves Santa Barbara to the point where it's very expensive to live up there. So we realized that if this is our dream, we have 10 years to try to make that happen, right? So what does that look like for us? And that's why this sort of looming 2020 new year looks kind of bigger than any normal end of the year. Let me know in the comments or with a thumbs up or heart or something if have you thought about that, or have you given it thought? Does it feel big? Does it feel bigger than normal? Because to me it does, and in a way that's motivating and exciting. And maybe it's just the thought of where my own children are, and that in 10 years it means that they're out of the house, and that opens possibilities for us. But I like to look at goals in terms of 1 year goal, 5 year goals, and 10 year goals, right? And I think that we are better serving ourselves if we get on a path where we're intentional so that we can aim at a target and then move in that direction. I believe that life is something that happens for us and we create it ourselves. It doesn't happen to you. So that means being intentional and guiding your own path and strategy. And that's why this time feels extra big, like a time of reflection. So this is the last quarter of the decade. Gianni is saying, I've pivoted my scope of thinking from a long-term perspective. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And Gianni, I'm so glad you got the little gift that I sent you. I hope that you enjoy it. Read that book. It's really empowering and really aligns well with what I'm talking about here too, and being the creator of your own thoughts and manifesting the vision you have for yourself. So I love that. And thanks for being here live. So I'm going to touch on this. We planned out the content for the rest of the year, and I'm going to hit on this a couple more times so that we can have a plan and kind of build on it and think about things like weird. What is happening with my hair here? Oh, I see. So I'm backwards. Got it. Okay. Now I see what's happening. Better hair. Leslie. Hi, Leslie. I think about us every single day, Leslie. I'm so excited. I hope everything's okay. I know I've reached out to you a couple times. I'm so excited to connect and move forward with our strategy. And I have to say, Leslie, the deck you sent me was so stunning. I just am so impressed with how talented you are, and literally fall asleep at night thinking about how lucky I am that I get to benefit from your talents. Honestly, you're just a gem, and I'm just let's go. I'm so ready. So we are going to build on some things. We're going to talk about it, and I just want you guys to feel empowered. I tend to sometimes feel a little overwhelmed with goals, especially when I'm it's a new decade, you guys, 10 years, let's make this happen. But I want that to feel empowering. And a couple concepts, we're going to get into specifics on setting quarterly goals. Did you not see my message? I've been emailing you, and I also sent you an Instagram DM. Literally, I wrote you back, Leslie, in maybe 3 minutes and was let's go. What do we need to do? What do you need from me? And then I followed up a couple of times. It maybe seems like you're not getting my emails. Maybe check spam. I don't know. But I wrote you back immediately, just ready to hit the ground running. So what I have for you are tips for setting your quarterly goals, at least the process that I follow. And there's 2 concepts that I want to put forward now that may be something that you're doing to yourself, or something standing in your way that you don't even know that you're doing. and you don't know that it's having an impact on you. And it's just things that have come to my realization, that I've come to these realizations through my own coaching programs that I invest in, my mastermind and mindset work that I've done with like James Wedmore and others. And there's two concepts. When you fall short of your goals, when you are a person of integrity, I am a person of integrity. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And if you set a goal for yourself, like let's say that I say, like, I'm going to there's a Peloton on the other side of this camera over here, there. And I stare at that damn bike every day, and I set a goal and I'm like, I'm going to get on it 2 times a week. And then I don't do it. And anything else that I tell anyone else, my husband, my kids, my family, my clients, I do it. I always follow through and I do it. So why don't I have the same follow through on things that I commit to myself? And there's this concept of self-integrity, and certain things like making my bed every day, like everything, a little quick win in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to make my bed every day and I'm going to wake up and feel amazing because I made my bed, and I'm going to drink 5 cups of water, whatever I commit to, and then I don't follow through on it. And I now have this awareness that even though I do consider myself a person of high integrity, there's something about my self-integrity, meaning the commitments I make to myself, where I don't follow through. And it's something that I'm now aware of. And I kind of learned of this concept through Jim Fortin, who is a high performance coach. He has a podcast. Look up his name, Fortin, Fortin. And he talks about this. And I realized that in these little goals I have for myself, there's something lacking in why I'm not following through. I'm failing to meet these goals that I want to change. And so if you're missing the mark on things that you're trying to accomplish for yourself, think about whether you are always in self-integrity, and how can you ensure that you always are, so that if you commit to something, you treat yourself with the same level of follow through as you would to your children, your spouse, your clients, and you do what you promised yourself you were going to do. And since I've had this awareness that that's the piece that was missing, I've had better follow through and more results with the things that I commit to myself. And I also now no longer commit to things that I don't believe that I'm going to follow through with, because I don't want to be out of self-integrity. Does that make sense? So I no longer commit to things that are going to be something that I'm going to just let fall by the wayside. So that also means something that's important to me and the reasons why. And part of the process I'm going to walk you through for setting goals is focusing on the why, because you want that to drive you, right? So there's that piece. Pay attention if you're not following through on, like, I'm going to eat healthy, or I'm not going to eat junk food after 7 p.m. or only on weekends, or I'm going to run twice a week, and then you don't do it. Try to pay attention to whether you are out of self-integrity, and then only commit to the things that you can follow through on, so that you can be a person of high self-integrity. That's how those things change. Those things, big changes happen in your life, is committing to yourself. And the other part is, we all say we're busy. Everyone's busy. We're so busy. I'm so busy. I have so much going on. I'm so busy. But are we focusing on the right things? Are you being busy for the sake of being busy? People are doing a lot of things that usually are not totally focused on driving your goals forward or driving revenue forward. They're focused on the minutia. Like, I've got to write this blog post. Is that the best use of your time right now? The other thing people do is they hedge their bets, and they start to do different things, like create this product and launch this business and add this service and do all these things at once, without really going all in on one, like building a bridge to completion for one strategy that will ultimately drive revenue or create some income for you. So we're working on a lot of stuff and we're always like busy, busy, busy. But are you busy focusing on the right things? And are you afraid to put all of your eggs in one basket because you're scared that if that thing doesn't work out, you're like, well, what now? And so, what we tend to do is focus on a lot of things at the same time without ever actually finishing any one thing. Because if we finish that and it doesn't work the way we wanted it to, then we failed or we're not successful, right? So the challenge with that is it doesn't allow you to build a bridge to completion, and you're not finalizing any and going all in to move the needle on something that will actually bring in revenue for your business, or put yourself out there in a way where you could potentially not be successful with that. So, I want you to kind of think of one thing, like a major, like each quarter is a major income generating activity, something that you can use to drive a revenue generating thing in your business. If it's a new service, if it's a new product offering, if it's a new digital product that you're launching. But try not to do too many things at once and focus on that one thing until it's successful and it's actually working. And also, these other things that you're doing in your business, whether it's like graphic design. Like, I am not going to be the graphic designer in my business. I'm going to hire an expert like Leslie, who's incredible, and let that person do what they do really well, rather than, let's say I value my time, my rate is $1,000 an hour. I would not spend $1,000 an hour on a mediocre graphic designer. It's not worth my time, right? It's just not worth the money that I'm using where I could be doing something that's more income generating in my business. So think of all the little things that you're doing for the sake of being busy, and are those the right use of your time? So, like, where did you fall short on your goals maybe this year? And what were you doing that didn't allow you to move forward? Where was the roadblock? Was it using your time in the most efficient way? So now that I've kind of put those two concepts forward of being in self-integrity and only committing to things that you're going to follow through on. Now, I think you can aim really high on goals and have, let's say, a revenue goal. Like, you want to make $1 million, right? And that's your goal. If you don't hit that and you are still like double what you made the year before because you pushed hard for it, I'm not saying that that's out of self-integrity. I'm saying that's a great goal that you use to drive you in a direction to grow in a bigger way. But the self-integrity are the goals you commit to yourself. And like, are you actually going to follow through on those things? Like a fitness goal or an eating goal or a business revenue generating goal. The goal is there to drive you, but the actions that get you to the goal are the things you need to be in self-integrity and say, I am going to do these things. Whether you hit that goal or not, I don't care. I don't care. Just drive it in that direction. So here are my tips for securing or for setting your quarterly goals. And there's still time for the rest of the year. And I think one of the goals that you should have should be setting, oh, come on. I'm launching a new website, and literally it's been stuck in neutral for 6 weeks. And the issue that they're sitting on is changing the fonts. It's like, let's just get this puppy launched and let's just, iterate. Like, that's one of the things too, is just momentum, right? So I don't want to be stuck because we are waiting on changing fonts. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, let's just go. So, one of the things that you should have as a goal for the next 90 days is a big reflection on the last, year. And I have questions to ask yourself, but also set time to set these 1, 5, and 10-year goals, at least just like as a big picture thinking, and have that be part of what you're planning for in the next 90 days. So what I want you to think about is your top 3 to 5 goals for the next 90 days. And if you want to go all in and really think about 1 to 3 goals, I think that's okay too. Know yourself well and know what you actually can commit to and can actually follow through on. If you have big goals, like I'm trying to launch a website, that's a big goal. It's a lot of work. Maybe that's one of 3. and I can't get to 5 things, but I'm only going to commit to those things that I know I can be in my self integrity to take the steps to complete. Okay, so that's step 1, 3 to 5 goals for the next 90 days. And then you think about your why and list out the reasons why. What will motivate you to reach each goal? What is the motivation? It's better to focus on the why, a strong, compelling reason why, than it is to just say, well, I want to go on a diet, right? Like, and I'm not a fitness or diet person, but I do want you to set personal and professional goals. But why? Why does it matter to, eat better or lose weight? What is the why? For me, I just physically, I want to have energy, and I want to feel healthy, and I want to feel strong. I want to wake up feeling energized. I want to sleep well at night. That's my why. I want to have energy to be active and present for my children, and I want my body to feel strong and healthy. So rather than saying, well, I want to eat better, or I want to be, on a diet or lose weight, it's the why. So for my business goals, why do I want to launch this new website? Well, I want to reach more people and serve them and have them see that I have a lot that I can offer them and that I can make their lives better. And I want them to feel a connection when they land on my website and feel like they finally found a community that can serve them and solves their problems that they're looking for. And that lights me up and it makes me feel energized, and I just want to help more people. But without that why, it's like you can be sort of stuck in this feeling of like, well, it'll get launched someday. Well, the longer that it takes, the longer that I'm waiting to serve my audience. And that's not okay with me. So that why will drive me to see that goal to completion when it gets tough, like right now where we're stuck for 6 weeks changing a font. I mean, this is ridiculous. Leslie, I'm sure you're like, what? Leslie's an amazing graphic designer. She's probably like, why is this happening? So think about that. Your 3 to 5, or if you're really focused on big stuff, 1 to 3 goals for the next 90 days, including goal setting for the next year plus. And then your why. What will motivate you to reach each goal? And it should be a strong and compelling reason. And then you look at those goals and you break them down into main actions. What will you do to achieve your goals? So these are the steps, right? If you just put on your to-do list, build new website, that will never get checked off because you're not going to build a website in a day, right? But what are the main actions that you can take that will get you closer to achieving these goals? These are the steps, and that serves as your roadmap. It is actions that you will take to move these goals forward. And then here's the big secret. This is like the thing that you do that actually makes these things happen. Calendar them. Calendar them. Take these actions and stick them in your calendar. If you need to focus on 2 hours a day working on content or something, then block out 2 hours a day where you're in content creation mode and think about your day in terms of where your energy lies. So are you super pumped at the beginning of the day and you feel really motivated and you have your best ideas and your best focus? Why would you spend that time replying to emails? Right? Use that time to get your best work done and schedule it. So I think about my energy throughout the day. I'm really pumped, ready to go, have my best ideas first thing in the morning. So that's my best chance to actually crank out really good content or client strategies or things that are, require some heavy mental lifting. When my kids come home from school after 3:30, that time for me is best spent at a maximum. The bandwidth I have is maybe a phone call where the person knows my kids are there and they may interrupt, like a coaching call or something where someone's going to be understanding, or quick replies to emails, like quick thoughts, moving things forward, but nothing heavy lifting, mentally. So that's the key to actually making these things happen, is breaking the goals down into main actions that are the steps you'll take that serve as kind of a roadmap. And you don't have to break the entire thing down. Just what's the next step? One thing that you have to do, right? If you need to make a decision on a certain platform, if it's Squarespace or Wix, we just had this discussion on a coaching call yesterday. Wix, we were like, don't do it. Squarespace or WordPress or whatever. Then the next goal is research those platforms. Maybe the next goal is ask people in your network or your coaching communities what they use and why they like it, and do that sort of research. But like making the decision requires an additional step before that. What is it? Focus on the one next step and calendar it. So it's in your calendar and you commit to that time and you do that. That's the key, right? And, that's really kind of all it takes. Like, you can have a fancy notebook. This is a 90X planner. This is Power Sheets, Cultivate What Matters. You guys obviously know, like, I love planners. This will help you set intentional goals. They're launching a new one, but anything that you can commit to as your method. If you like, I'm a digital and an analog. I like to write things down and I like to plug it into my calendar that syncs up across all my devices, so I know what I'm actually doing for the day. We also have a platform that we use called monday.com. It's a project management platform. I have a full focus planner. I usually buy these. You can see it's blank because I like to just see how they're structured, and I'll test it out for a little while, and once I find one that I love, I go all in on that. I do like the full focus planner from Michael Hyatt. This one's awesome. And it'll help you really follow this approach where you set the goals for 90 days. This is 90 days. This is not a year. This is a 90-day focus. And then you break it down, plug it into your calendar, and actually make headway on completing those goals. And if they're not done in 90 days, that's a-okay too. But I promise, by following this framework of goals and then, the big why, because when stuff gets hard, you need to focus back on the why. And actually, for my mastermind coaching program, one of the things that I want to check into with my enrollees is, what is their big why? And one of the women, so I ask all of them and say, give me your 10 reasons. Why did you enroll in this program? And they email me so that I can get on the same page as them. I can understand what motivates them. What is their reason for working hard to grow an agency? And one of the women wrote me back, and she had her 10 reasons why read more like justifications for why she made the investment rather than her personal big reasons why. And that's not powerful. I don't need her to say, well, I need you to hold me accountable and I need you to be the coach and I need to have a framework so that I know what to focus on. That's justification, but you've already spent the money on the program. So you've already made that decision. Now you need to think about, when stuff gets hard, what is the reason why you are creating a business like this? What does this afford you in your life? My big why is my family, having time with my children, being a present and checked in parent, being able to travel with my family, and, having the flexibility and the money to be able to take trips and give my kids experiences. What is, like I said, this is weird, I'm backwards. There's that. And then the other thing is sharing my model with others so that they have access to it too, and they know what to focus on so they can have the same business model that will give them the same luxuries of, time and revenue, and a framework where they're not running themselves into the ground. The other big why was getting my husband to go on his own too, so that he could be as present with our family as I am. Those are the things that motivate me when things get hard, things are slow. That's the why. They have to be meaningful. They have to be strong, compelling reasons so that you are continuing forward with connecting with these goals when things get hard. So that's my approach. That's why I ask everyone. I want to be bought into their driving forces in their lives, and know that we're aligned and that I can help support them and point them back to those reasons if they get stuck for whatever reason. So that's the why. It's not just like, oh, I wanted to spend the money because I need someone to hold me accountable. That's a decision you make when you're about to invest in a program, not one that you need to justify why you're in it. So I hope that makes sense. The key here is breaking down goals into the next action you need to take and then calendaring it. Put it in your calendar. Do you guys do that? Leslie is saying, for me, sometimes the whys feel so big, and then the little actions we take every day that move us forward feel so little compared to the why. Like, how will getting on the bike tonight actually impact my big why? Yes, Leslie, that makes a lot of sense. We are sometimes looking for major transformation in a short period of time. There's actually a book, I think the guy's name is Jeff Olson. What is it called? I have it on my nightstand. And it's all about little small actions that kind of compound to have big results. Like if you think about, let's say, setting a goal to read a certain number of books, right? You want to read 1 book a month, or you want to read 2 books a month, 20 books, 4 books a year. If you commit to reading 20 pages a day, that seems kind of small, but at the end of the month, you're chipping away and you're reading, whatever the math is on that, 600 pages or whatever, right? 20 pages a day, 600 pages. Like, think of the information that you get when you're reading 600 pages a month. And it's really only 20 pages a day. It's like little small actions compound to have big results. Yeah, Andrea, hi, thanks for being here. God, it's all my people in my programs, which I love. I love the idea of calendaring the steps. I've written the list down, but never added it to the calendar. That's really the key, right? Because think about, and even like getting on the Peloton or going for a walk, scheduling it. And it's like, in my mind, I know that that is a thing that will make me feel energized, which is a big, important reason why. Hi. And it's part of the cumulative effect of feeling strong, feeling healthy, having energy. I see that when I'm on the Peloton consistently 2 days a week, that I feel more like my results are better and I feel more energized overall. But then I kind of lose that momentum. So for Leslie, the whys are so big, but it's the small actions that have a cumulative effect, but also create momentum. So you keep doing it. It's not like you get on the bike once and you're going to, be 10 pounds lighter and have all the energy and feel like you're walking on a cloud. It's the cumulative effect of doing it consistently and showing up consistently and knowing that it's chipping away. If you look at something that's overwhelming, like, a huge goal, like launch a website or whatever, you can't just flip a switch in one day, launch a website. You have to break it down. And I know you know this, into the steps. What do you need? What's the design? What's the framework? What's the graphic content? What's the written content? So it feels like a lot, but if you do one step at a time and you calendar it, you see you're taking small actions that have a compound effect to lead to a big result. So I know the why should make you feel motivated to continue with those small actions to move closer to the goal. And I think a fitness goal is never something that you achieve, right? Because you're always going to need, it's not like you lose weight or ride the bike a certain number of days and then you stop because you achieved the goal. The goal is to incorporate it into your life in a way where it becomes part of just your daily, like, you drink your 8 glasses of water a day and that's just what you do, right? And it's just something that this is what I do. It becomes a habit. And I think that's the difference, is like trying to get things to become a habit. I'm going to figure out what this is called. What was I say his name was? Olson. Jeff Olson book. Hold on. I'll tell you what it's called. I forget. The Slight Edge. Okay. There's a book by Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge. And I read it like every other year just to remind myself. It's all about, like, if you think about compound interest, it's a small thing that over time has a major result or a major impact, right? It's like, he has all these great examples that kind of put it into a concrete way, but it's literally like thinking about reading 20 pages a day or 10 pages a day. That's 300 pages a month. That's a book a month. And think about all of the, benefit that could have for you. Like, we all say, like, oh, I want to read a book every month, but then it's the end of the month and you're like, I didn't read my book. There's no way I can get it done. But if you just do a little bit every day and you make that a habit, that's the slight edge that, what does he call it? Turning simple disciplines into massive success and happiness. That's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I'm looking on Amazon, 1,571 ratings, 5 stars on there's like 5-star ratings all the way down the board. So just a little simple thing, right? And I think, Andrea, that's the difference, is the calendaring it, because it makes it concrete and it makes it real. And that is maybe the thing that's missing in actually taking the next step to achieve that little step to bring you closer to the goal. And I think, Leslie, having that big why will keep you motivated, knowing that you may get on, like, we're using the bike as an example because you said it too. Getting on the bike one time doesn't get you a lot. Like, you do feel good. Maybe you sleep better that night. But then you get on the bike twice and you're like, oh, this is a little easier today. And then you get on the bike, the third time the next week. And now you're like, oh, I'm committed to this. And I'm actually like seeing results. And I'm part of this Peloton community, and the stories that the people are posting are so incredible. It's like life-changing, like so transformational. And I'll give another example. I don't know, you guys might be new here. You might be new here. But about a year ago in August, I completed a physical endurance challenge that was so insanely hard and outside of my comfort zone. I don't know if any of you follow Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis, but they just did the same Everstaying challenge that I did last year. They did the same thing. And I really was like, oh my God, why couldn't I have done it this year and been in the same group as Rachel and Dave Hollis? Would have been amazing. But I scaled a mountain in Utah, not scale like this, but hiking like a mountain that was like that, really, really hard at altitude. And I went up and down the mountain. I've got my badge here just to show. Here's my little completion that I did this challenge. I went up and down the mountain 9 times over the course of 36 hours, which is a day and a half. You start at 6 a.m. one day, you end at 6 p.m. the following day. And you sleep in a tent at base camp and you go up this really hard mountain. You gain 2,700 feet elevation over 2.7 miles. And you finish and you go down the gondola and you get right back up and do it again. And it's freaking hard. And I'm not the type of person that does any sort of running, marathons, anything like that. But I achieved my goal. I set out to do this. I don't know why. Everyone I knew was like, well, what are you doing? But it was an amazing group of people. It was a very incredible event. And I wrote a whole blog post about it. And what I realized, it was literally one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, just chipping away at this massive goal ahead of me. How am I going to scale this mountain, 9 times in 36 hours, right? That meant I was hiking in the dark with a headlamp by myself. I was hiking in the middle of the night. I was hiking first thing in the morning, barely eating anything. They have stations as you go along the way, but it's literally like chipping away. And a lot of people got overwhelmed by the massive goal ahead of them, and they got into their head and said, oh my God, there's 10 more, however many, 7 more ascents. I've already done this twice. It's so hard. I'm exhausted. I feel nauseous from the altitude. My feet are killing me. My hips hurt. Everything's throbbing because it's hard. You're hiking with poles. And they would say, how am I going to do this 9 more times, 8 more times, 7 more times? But I looked at it like the only thing ahead of me is the next step, just one more step. Okay, one more step. I did that. I can do it again. One more step. And at some point through the hike, I'm walking up this mountain and I had this mantra in my head. I'm like, you are a motherfucking badass. And I just was every step. And I loved it. I was like, I'm going to keep going, And my family was like tracking my progress because I had a chip, and they were like texting me like, you did it, you finished another one. And there's no way, looking back on it, I could have completed the challenge if I looked at it in its totality, because it's overwhelming. But chipping away down to literally the very next step is what I did in order to complete that goal. And it was like so far outside of my comfort zone. You have no idea. Even my husband was like, what did you sign up for? What did you do? And now it's so mainstream because like Rachel Hollis did it and they blogged about it. And now they're wearing the 29029 hats. And it's just like, oh, you know, this is like this cool mainstream thing. You hike Everest, but you're not on Everest. You're on another mountain. And I did it. And I'm not, like I said, I can't even get on my Peloton. I'm here with world-class athletes. There were Olympians, triathletes, world record holders for strength and endurance. This guy that I competed with, this guy, Mike McCassell, trained the guy that traversed Antarctica solo, right? This guy trained that guy. He has 5 world records for strength and endurance. Yeah. And he did 7 ascents and I did 9. He did 7 and I did 9. And I'm like, why did you stop? And he just said it was overwhelming. And I'm not saying, I mean, he's like amazing, world-class athlete. He just got in his head, and a lot of people did too. And I just literally was like one step in front of the other. Andrea said, read your blog post a while ago and loved it. Also saw that the Hollises completed it this year. Inspiring and love the metaphor. I mean, it was like amazing that I even signed up for it. My husband, like I said, was like, are you out of your mind? You're crazy. But I proved to myself that I can tackle anything if you just literally do one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And I'm really proud of that. And I also know like I'm tough and I can do whatever I set my mind to. Yeah, so just kind of thinking about it from that way. And that's also the Jeff Olson slight edge. It's literally turning simple disciplines like I read 10 pages a day into massive success. Bye, Andrea. Thank you so much for being here. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today with goals. It's just like now seems like a really good opportunity because we're heading into the last quarter of the year. Things tend to be a little bit slow towards the end of the year. You know, that week between Christmas and New Year's, kind of Deadsville, and then it creeps into the week before that. So you get like 2 weeks in December. You know, start thinking about it and start thinking about what do you want the next 1, 5, and 10 years of your life to look like, because that's a brand new decade. It's a great time for it. So you can look back and say, you know, 10 years ago, I remember Jen yelling at me rolling into 2020 to really think about what I want my life to look like and be intentional. And I will tell you that in my life, when I have decided that I wanted things to go a certain way or look a certain way or be a certain way, and I didn't just let it happen to me, but I made it happen for me, that's when I've had the biggest results, the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest transformations, the biggest clients come in the door, all of the biggest things that I've made happen, I have made happen, right? So be intentional with your goals, not to like overwhelm you. I think it's exciting. I think it's a great opportunity. Serena is saying she can't manage time too well. You know, one of the secrets to really good time management is actually energy management. It's energy management. It's thinking about the times in your day, when you have the energy to complete the tasks that need that level of attention and energy, right? So time management ultimately means energy management. and utilizing the times and also being realistic about what you can actually, I think we overestimate what we can get done in a day and we underestimate what we can get done in a year. I'm not the first person to say that. I've heard it and I believe it to be true. We overestimate what we can do in a day and we underestimate what you can accomplish in a year. But think about, if you say you can't manage time too well, first of all, that's a story you're telling yourself about yourself. Change it and say you are going to pay attention to your energy levels. Maybe even write it down. How are you feeling? When do you wake up in the morning? When do you go to bed at night? And in that space of time, how many hours realistically do you have to work? For me, it's like getting my kids out the door and then the second they come home. And I might be able at the tail end to do a little bit of mindless work, but the focused time is during that 6-hour window that my kids are in school. They're in 2nd and 3rd grade. And during that time, I know that at the beginning end of it, which is probably up until about maybe the next 15 minutes from 8 a.m. to noon, I'm focused and I can get stuff done. And then from 12 on, I'll eat lunch and then I'm kind of tired. And I know that the best that I can come up with is really just replying to emails and simple transactional stuff. But the focused, heavy lifting, the mental bandwidth comes down to my energy level and when I have access to that. And that's first thing in the morning. So Serena, try to really rethink it in terms of energy management and being realistic about how much time you're allocating to things. Track it if you have to. And then rethink what you're allocating and maybe cut it in half and say, I can't do that in this time allocated. I'm going to do half of that in the same amount of time. And I know that my energy is first thing in the morning or just after lunch. And that's when I'm going to do these heavy lifting tasks. Hopefully that makes sense, because I think that it's a little simple difference that will make a big impact for you. And schedule it. Andrea and Leslie and Serena and Gianni, put it in your calendar. Treat it like an appointment. When it pops up, do it. And I promise you, you will see momentum. And it's like Jeff Olson, the slight edge. Those little habits, those little wins, simple disciplines result in massive success. So that's how I plan. That's how I do it. And I just wanted to share that process with you and give you something to think about. So thank you for watching. I know this was kind of a long one, but I love this topic. I love it. As you can tell, I'm like a planner hoarder kind of thing. And I do that because I like to see the different kind of approaches and disciplines and how I can work them into my own approach. But once you pick a method, stick to it and just use that. Don't jump around, decide if you're analog, digital. Do you want a project management platform? Do you want to just put it in your calendar? Whatever it is, decide what's good for you. What's good for me is not going to be the same as for you, and just commit to it and stick with it. So that's what I have for you today. We'll talk about some more things next time on questions that you can ask yourself as you reflect on the last year and incorporate your responses and how you're feeling and where you got stuck into how you're planning for next year and beyond. So thank you for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm building content for you, and I just want it to be helpful and beneficial to you and your business. So thanks for being here, guys. See you soon.